Okay, we'll call the meeting order. First on the agenda tonight is a public hearing, and the purpose of the hearing is to hear any representation from the public with regard to council's intent to close all that portion of the public lane described as Public Lane Plan number 22476 PLTO in the North Division, being part of Lot 78, Plan 770, NLTO. So at this point, we would ask anybody who would like to speak either for or against closing that lane to come forward. Hearing none, I will adjourn the public hearing. Whew. That was a tough one today. All right. And we will call our council meeting of November 13th, 2017 to order. We'll just get my agenda to come up. It's working. Just okay. It's loading. So yeah. Thanks. Good to see you. Take care.
They were here for the
Okay, can I have a motion then to adopt the agenda?
Yep, moved by myself, second by Councillor Commodore. Be it resolved the agenda be adopted as presented.
You can pass it in front of stuff.
Just don't hit me.
Give her a paper cut across the nose.
I should note that Councillor Rock is hit with the flu, and Councillor Zelensky is probably hit with the tequila. He's in Mexico, I think, so we'll leave it at that. Any other discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay, confirmation of minutes, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting and Committee of the Whole of October 23rd be hereby approved. All statutory declarations have been complied with.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? It is carried 5-0. I'll just be a moment. Citizens period. This is a time when anybody would like to come forward to bring a matter to council. This would be a great time to do that. Dave Symes, please step forward.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Would you like to join me as well? And perhaps Wes?
We have lots of chairs.
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Dave Symes. My name's been in the phone book in the PAW for 49 years now.
I'm Karen Dreger.
Wes Jones.
It's all true.
We are here today as representatives of the Clearwater Lake Social Club. We're respectfully asking that the town of the PAW support and participate in an opportunity that would be mutually beneficial to the region, for the town, the lake, the entire region. The Social Club will provide a fundraising campaign with proceeds to enhance the Clearwater Lake Airport Hall. And as you know, the town of the PAW owns the hall, owns the land, and the Clearwater Lake Social Club has been renting the hall for 20 years.
Yeah.
We brought it from a near derelict situation and brought it up to its present state. I think the last tally we had was around $150,000 recently has been spent on the hall.
Yeah.
What we're proposing is that the Social Club undertake a very large, intense marketing campaign, sell raffle tickets for a Clearwater Lake lakefront lot that you are currently trying to market. I think you have 22 lots available. That's the essence of what we're asking. The town provide a lot for us to undertake these efforts. In return, we will do the marketing campaign. We will generate a lot of interest, not only in this immediate area, the region, but across Canada. I believe we have 300 members, very close to 300 members. And once we get a web-based social media marketing campaign underway, there's probably 35 million people in Canada that do not know about Clearwater Lake. We want to shrink that number, and we're going to have some fun doing it. A lot of you have been contacted by members of the organization. We just have a small sampling here. We didn't want to fit 300 people in the hall. That's why there's only half a dozen of us here. So a little bit of the backgrounder. The Clearwater Lake Airport Hall is a lot more than just bricks and mortar. There's been a lot of, that was the meeting place. That was a central meeting place for the original airport community. As you know, there was probably 40 or 50 families living out there at one time. The town of Transport Canada, I believe, transferred the airport and all its operations to the town of the Pas some time ago, say 15 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever the number is. Since that time, the hall has provided a meeting place, a social gathering point for a lot of organizations and a lot of people. Between Homecoming, Bill Bannock, 4-H, Rotary, polling station for provincial and federal governments. You know, the list goes on and on. And if you look at the last list of runners from the Clearwater Lake Marathon, you'll see people from all across Canada participating. There was even a runner from Dubai. So the exposure that we are going to offer, or that we're going to provide for the remainder of the lots, you can't put a number on that, but the net social and economic benefits are going to be huge if this is successful. Any questions so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of regulatory, we've done quite a bit of research on that. I spoke with Collins Barrow, Haugen Morris Andrews, and they will provide oversight in terms of the dollars and cents coming and going as a result of the raffle. I spoke with Ronnie Hrabarchuk of Jeans Telecom. As you know, they do web hosting as well as providing a lot of internet services out at the lake. They're willing to do a host on a web page. We've also been in contact with Manitoba Gaming and Lottery, MGLA, I believe, and obviously they're quite strict and quite tight on who they allow licenses to, especially when you hit that $10,000 mark. Anything over $10,000, I understand that the approval process is probably 2 weeks if you're less than $10,000 on the raffle prizes, and probably 6 weeks. 6 weeks if the raffle amount is over $10,000. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of the regulatory.
What is, I'm sorry, that's the length of the time you think you'll have
That's
tickets available?
That is the approval time. Just to clarify, supposing council approves this within 2 weeks, then we do our application with MGLA, and there will be a 6-week waiting period or approval period, and they look at a number of things. You know, who the organization is. We're a Manitoba company, and we've been pre-approved for a grant through the province. Essentially, right now we have, I'll give you an idea of the dollars and cents that are involved and why it's important that this go through for us. We have, I think, $40,000 at this point. If we generate another $40,000 in revenue, we qualify for another $30,000 grant through the province, which has already been approved. We have until, I believe, sometime in spring, and they will do a little bit of an extension if needed. So what's going to happen is there's going to be $110,000, $120,000 spent on that building and improvements, which is essentially your building. We're leasing it from you. The benefit of that is, you know, we have Sunday church services out there on the weekend, on Sundays during the summer. I've gone through the whole list of the users, federal, provincial, training, firefighters, and that kind of thing. We want to make it better. Did you want to talk about community?
I think it's both economically and socially really a benefit because it is a gathering place, and if we improve the usage of the facility, then it would not only be a benefit to people at the lake, but any visitors that come around, people fly in, they're right near the club then. but also for the community, the larger regional community. We have people at the lake from the RM, from town, from the lake, from the valley, from a whole range of places in the region, as well as from the states, you know, and it really is broad-reaching. So the social benefit, I think, and the economic benefit in terms of exposure for selling the lots, but then also when people come here, it'll be another place to go, a good place for gathering. People are doing yoga, Zumba classes, so a lot of health and wellness stuff is happening out there. And again, I think that, you know, we're really trying to work on a place where people gather. People go there to not only celebrate, like anniversaries and weddings, but they also go there to meet. A lot of the meetings in terms of how are we going to build this place, you know? How are we going to actually keep contributing to community? So it's both socially and economically viable. And I think really it's about community building. And this is one piece of the community building that the social club, I think, is really looking at. How do we continue to build community? And it's not just the Clearwater Lake community, it's the community at large. And it really does impact and can have a larger reach.
So in terms of the raffle itself, we've kicked a few ideas around. Nothing's written in stone yet, but we're thinking 400 tickets, $100 each to generate the $40,000. Unfortunately, we'll probably miss the Christmas ticket buying season. You know, just if you do the math on 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we won't be able to kick this off until... That's right. And there's a lot of events in the area that are taking place in that springtime. We were thinking possibly a July 1st draw date, Canada Day, and you know, a family gets a new home. You know, they can, and if they were from out of town, you know what happens when their friends and relatives start visiting. You know, maybe they'll buy another lot. There's going to be 399 people that didn't get a lot that expressed interest in this.
It's a very nice prize.
It is a nice prize.
Members of council, have any questions?
You're just looking for one lot?
Well,
To start with.
you know, phase 2, phase B might be something larger. You know, if this is oversubscribed, if we sell out in a month or 2 months, then, you know, then it's time to discuss this further in terms of maybe we can bring another organization in that has a little bit more bench strength. You know, maybe we need more people pounding the streets at that point. Currently one lot.
So my concern is we have Wood Acres too. It's half full, and the entire community is paying for a debenture on that. And we're going down the same road with these lots. We have 22 lots, and this is strictly my opinion, but the airplane's in the air, right? So we're paying for the fuel, and that's only going to get worse. And we need to get rid of these, in my opinion, these lots, sooner rather than later, because costs are coming down the pipe, and someone's going to have to pay for it. So I don't have an appetite for debenturing again for 22 lots that are going to sit there half empty, like, and make mistakes that have been made in the past. So I'm more apt to be swayed if you guys were going to take them all on, right? Unload them all. And we could split the proceeds. Would you consider something like that?
What if this is so oversubscribed that you end up selling another 10 or 15 lots out of this? You know, then who knows where this is going to go?
But if you're going to do a marketing campaign for one lot, what's the incremental cost of doing another, you know, I mean, it's not going to change the marketing plan, right? It's the same amount.
What I'd say is this is a pilot. We don't know how this is going to go, right? We're taking it on, we're looking at it seriously, and what we can handle as a club in terms of people power and you know, effort. Once we do this once, we'll know what the results are, and we will have the structure in place. So I would say that a pilot project to me makes sense because we have to know how much we can handle, you know, and what all it takes as well. And so if we pilot this with one lot, then the table's open for discussion. The stage will be set, the marketing, the platform and everything would be set up, and at that point, the social club might say, you know what, we're done, but we'll give what we know and what we've learned from this process to you, the other organizations, you know, I see that as a jumping off point rather than a starting with 22, because holy crow, that puts a whole pile of different,
Put skin on the game for you guys.
puts a different opportunity on the table, right?
For sure.
Different opportunity on the table, yeah.
Yeah.
But my thought from our club's perspective, I think we're in agreement of we would like to start with one as a pilot.
Anybody else?
Oh, I'm just trying to catch my breath, honestly. I'm kind of surprised at the comments just made. So you want the town to donate a $50,000 lot to raise $40,000? That's the bottom line? No, that's the question I'm asking. You want the town to donate a $50,000 lot, so you as a social club can raise $40,000.
Is it a $50,000 lot?
It's a $50,000 lot.
What did the last one sell for?
85.
Pardon me?
85.
85
They
what?
originally sold for $85,000,
And what were
and we reduced
the most recent ones?
50.
And did we not see a couple go for 5,000?
That was because they paid 85 for their original lot.
Yeah.
So they did get a little bit of a discount and ended up spending $45,000 per lot as opposed
Okay.
to 50.
So how's the marketing program going now then? When was the last lot that was sold?
We have a couple that are, actually, we have a couple in the making right now.
Okay.
So here's my concern, is that, I'm going to be blunt. So we're opening a big can of worms here. And while I can appreciate the value and the asset that the Clearwater Social Club and definitely the residents of Clearwater Lake bring to the pod, both economically and socially, my issue is that we have a lot of groups who are doing fundraising for things right now. We have groups like the Animal Shelter, we have groups like the Spray Park, we have groups like the Skate Park and the running track and all of these groups. And you're not the first group that's thrown around the idea of, hey, why don't you give us a lake lot to raffle off? It's an idea that I've heard before, and my response to them was like, there's no way that you're going to be able to convince the town of the pod to give you a $50,000 lake lot. So those would be my barriers, is that I don't know how we could give it to one group unless we put some sort of process in place where we did some sort of raffle for different nonprofits who are interested in taking on this venture. And then I have to look at things like, you know, the fact that if we did give it to somebody like the Spray Park or the Skate Park or the Animal Shelter, like those are things that we need in our community, and we need in our community pretty bad, especially the Animal Shelter. So it would be hard for me to give priority to a haul over things like, especially the Animal Shelter. Like the Animal Shelter would relieve a huge burden from the town of the Paw right now, and again, like it's definitely something that we need that's long overdue. So those would be my issues. Is it's not that I'm opposed to the idea. You know, I definitely think you're kind of coming at the right time. You know, we do have these lake lots. We have been talking about how are we going to market them, how are we going to get rid of them for a long time. We're coming into a budget year, so I mean that's another thing that, I mean, this would need to be considered in the budget. But again, it's not that I'm opposed to the idea, but we would need a process. Like we would need to put a fair and equitable process in place. And again, my big thing would be giving priority to a social, you know, a social type club or hall over something like an animal shelter or, you know, barrier-free recreation for the youth in our community that's so badly needed.
Andrew?
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure. On one hand, I look at it and I think it's not a bad litmus test to see what the appetite looks like. I mean, my one thought is, you know, what if there's no appetite for the tickets? Not because it's $100 a ticket, but because it's a lot at the lake that's going to cost you. As soon as you place a new building on that lot, you're paying $8,000 in taxes, because that's where we're at. And if that is a limiting factor for your ticket sales, then you don't make your $40,000 and earn. I mean, for me to buy in, I would have to be convinced that you're going to get your $40,000, which is going to parlay into the $70,000 overall. You're going to be able to tap the $30,000, and then it's a worthwhile investment on our part. If I subscribe to the social club as being an important aspect of our community, and I can get there probably, but I'm just not 100% convinced that even at $50 a ticket, for 800 tickets or whatever, that the appetite is going to be there for the 40 grand. Maybe it is, and this might be a good litmus test to see. I mean, it's one lot. They aren't selling as they are, and which means we're collecting taxes on.
Good point. What I see is a worst-case scenario here is there's going to be a couple hundred people that wanted a lot that didn't get their name drawn. And then, at that point, the town can target their marketing campaign at the people that wanted a lot that didn't get one.
And the one, I mean, and to Crystal's point, because, I mean, what would happen is, I mean, if we say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, here you go, we'll have 17 people here at the next meeting, all wanting a lot to raffle it off, which sounds great, but now we've got people that are chipping away at, so all of a sudden, the 400 tickets you were looking to sell turn into 1,200 tickets that are now on the market for the same thing from 3 other user groups. And so maybe you don't make your 400 ticket margin, and or we end up with people that say, yeah, we want to do that, and we sign up, but there's if nobody's got any skin in the game in the sense of, if you guys are committed to this and you believe in it, then, and we hand over the lot, if there's no financial or fiscal or risk on your end, everybody can come in here and say, hey, we want to raffle one too, we want to raffle one too, and then we end up with a bunch of lots potentially tied up in some kind of legal
Well, I'm
arrangement.
sure you'll get a lot of requests, just, it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But what better ambassadors for Clearwater Lake than the residents of Clearwater Lake?
And I guess I'm looking at it more from the standpoint of operationally. So I mean, if this happens, then what you guys don't want to have happen is we sling out 5 more lots onto the market for people that want to raffle them off at the same time, because it's gonna undermine the foundations of what your fundraising proposal is for, right? And that will happen. The very moment that this thing hits YouTube, there will be 3 people here at the next meeting that all want a lot to raffle it off. And I get that.
So who's the best prepared? I mean, we're the one,
Yeah.
you talk about skin in the game, we're the ones that have, the club has
And this is a
invested
fair
a lot
point,
of money,
right?
a
I mean,
lot of
at the end
time
of
and
the day,
effort in the hall.
At the end of the day, we own the hall, and we own the land that it's on, and so it is an investment in a piece of infrastructure that we actually own, and have leased. And so that is the one defining difference between, somebody else that might come in looking for one. So, I mean, I think probably my answer is I don't have an answer for you just yet. There's a lot of digestion that needs to go on with that, and there's probably some other questions that will need to come too. But those are a few things that pop into my head just off the cuff that I think we would need to talk about and strategize about so that we don't end up, what I don't want to end up in is you guys finding yourselves in a jackpot and us finding ourselves in a jackpot. We all had good intentions, but we just didn't go what if, not in a negative way, just from a straight up operation. Let's see how this runs and try run it on the table a couple of times and go, okay, that looks like we've covered all the bases. But at first blush, I think it's great. I mean, it's great that you guys fundraise for the hall. It's great that you guys take care of the hall the way that you do. But to Crystal's point, I mean, there are user groups in town that would be as eager to compete. It's not to say that you're on the same footing as them. It's just a mechanism that we will need to be able to deal with that somehow. You guys won't have to. That's not really your issue to manage. It's ours.
But you highlighted the key difference. This is an asset we own, right?
Yeah,
So we're fortunate we have a group that wants, this is not someone trying to build something from scratch. It's something we own, that if we didn't have people interested in running it, we'd be stuck with another asset we don't need in the community, right?
So have to tear down and pay to put their own down.
Right, so it's a little bit indifferent.
Just one point about the process then. If you do have people knocking down your door, if you do say, yes, we'd like to do this. And Margaret, I do actually take your, I've made note, definitely, of the 50,000 for 40,000. That makes sense to me. I understand that. But let me just say, in terms of process, if this is a pilot, if it is brought to light that this is a pilot, and then there will be 21 other lots, depending on how the pilot goes, this is how it could be framed. A pilot project, one user group, why it makes sense, because we are at the lake, we are renting your building, we are paying the taxes on it, we are, basically managing and running it. We have the will to do this. We are going to design and develop a marketing strategy. As the council, we're piloting this. Then opportunity might come, depending on how the pilot goes, for other user groups. So I would see this as an opportunity to say, okay, we're the ones taking the risk. We're the ones going to be taking the time and effort and, building the platform, and we're not taking the $50,000 risk. We're taking the risk of putting time and effort and energy into developing something like this and then providing an opportunity for 21 other user groups like the shelter, because believe me, I see a need in the community for a whole range of things that you've said, Crystal, so near and dear to my heart. So that's an opportunity for 21 other user groups to actually have something that's already been developed, and we already will have had the platform and our bases covered, right? And from there's 21 other opportunities. One a year, you know, if they don't sell, maybe 10 of them will sell. So the marketing campaign might work so that 10 sell, and then isn't that even better? However, if it's approached in terms of here's a marketing pilot project that could open up the opportunity for others, we'll see how it goes with these guys. That's one way that I see it being viable, and the process could work from the town's perspective.
I would say that that as a community, we have done a really poor job of marketing Clearwater Lake and then the lots at Clearwater Lake. We've done not a very good job at all. Put up a sign and hope for the best, maybe the phone will ring or something. So I think any kind of new marketing is gold, especially if we're not having to be responsible for that marketing. It's even better. I think this is something that needs to have a close eye looked at it. Because I think there's a tremendous amount of merit there for it. I do worry about that long lineup that'll form. And so I think, you know, we have to design, if we're going to do this, we have to design specific measures that have to be met in order to do something like that. I just want those lots sold. I want nice, beautiful homes put on them, and bluntly collect the taxes from them. That was the whole point behind it. So I think, if I'm hearing mostly from the council, what we should do is probably receive this as information, and let's get it on a committee of the whole agenda so that we can look at it further, because I think it merits further study.
Can we give these guys a date?
Pardon me?
Can we give them a date and when we'd get back to them? We got to talk about committee, otherwise.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that'll be, because I think we really have to look at this hard, and so that's going to take up
So to give you a blunt answer, so at the very shortest that this could be passed, it would be our first meeting in December. So if everything went through smooth sailing, we sit down at our next committee of the whole meeting at the end of November. We would discuss it, and if we could have a process in place, and if it was ready to be approved, it would go to a council meeting for December. I can almost guarantee you that that's not going to happen, just because, I mean, I want to be fair with you guys. Like, you're probably looking at the very least, like, after Christmas. We only meet once in December, and then we meet again in the new year, but there's going to be a lot of questions probably and a lot of conversation back and forth. These guys are going to try to prepare as much information for us as they possibly can, but they can't predict every question we're going to ask or all of the information we're going to want to receive. So it's going to definitely be a conversation, and if it goes forward, like I said, I mean, we're going to have to make sure that we have a process in place that we can fall back on, and that we can make sure is as fair and equitable to everybody as possible, right? Yeah.
Okay, so you would need to have that, we'll get it on the agenda for, looks like the 11th of December?
No, it'll go in November.
27th.
It'll go in November.
Oh, okay, good, okay. So we can, I do agree with Crystal. I think it's going to mean more meetings, and I think it's going to be at the earliest, it's going to be January, I think, because we're probably going to have more questions.
We are at your service. You know how you can get in touch with me?
Yeah.
And the rest of my team here.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Is that the only thing you're raffling off is the lot, or is there more to this?
That would be it. We kicked around some ideas of having perhaps 10 $100 winners, so 10 lucky families get their ticket paid for, their tickets thrown back in the hat for the big prize. But that would be the only.
Okay. No, and the only reason I'm asking is I know we've had it where, okay, well, now we're going to have a house on there and all this other stuff, so I just wasn't quite sure. So, okay.
Just the lakefront lot.
Thank you.
But also know that we are doing other fundraising.
Oh, no,
as well.
for sure.
Yeah.
When's the cutoff for your grant?
Well, we're supposed to have our share of the dollars to get the full 30,000. We need the 80 by the end of May. But I'm positive we can get an extension on that. If we only have half of it, we only get half the grant. So ideally, you know, you're never going to get another grant now with this new government, so you want to make sure that you get as much as you can, eh?
And would you say the success of your draw is going to be on the ability for someone to build this summer? Is it relevant?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then we can't say January, February. There's going to be a line where it gets to the point, if you know you got to do 8 weeks to get the thing up and running, if we don't get back to them by the end of January, February, March, we're too late.
Agreed.
I
So-
agree, but I also, this is something that, again, we don't want to rush into, and we want to make sure that we're,
I guess my frustration, and it's, I know there's only 10 months left, is that's where we always are, right? We'll put it off, like, let's give these guys a date. Let's say by January 28th, we'll get back to you. Not till we'll talk about it, because we got a whole list of things we've talked about
so
before.
we've told them January. is
I
very
so
I
let's-
envision us
let's-
meeting with
okay.
them probably a number of times between now and then.
So 28th, January 28th, that work? Good?
Alan, we also have two counselors who haven't even
Okay.
heard about this.
So
All right.
receive it as information.
We've
Let's
already
have a look,
bought
let's
them
have
off.
some meetings. We'll have some meetings, we'll have some discussion. We'll try and, the devil's going to be in the detail, and so we'll work towards that. I would love to put a date on it, and I can't see this getting a back.
Get something done.
Not a-
I can provide you all the updates you want, but if you're gonna ask
I
more
meant
questions,
this
like,
group.
Yeah.
So if it's, you know, after, would it be fair after it's not ready to move to council, right? Like, right? Is that a fair thing to do? I don't know what the,
generally, we'll sit down, we'll have it at a committee of the whole like we do in any other process, and then it comes to council.
yeah.
We appreciate your attention to the
Yeah,
urgency.
so, we've
It's
got some.
fantastic, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
I
for.
want to say something. I just want to say in regards to your, other user groups now coming and standing up to play the same thing on the free lot too. We're in a completely different situation there, being that we already own the property. Every nickel we make is going to go back into your property. We paid you guys like over $40,000 in taxes, way more than any of those other groups. And they go hand in hand. Like, if there's that hall being out in the lake there, it could be a good selling feature. Like, you're going to be living right across the road from a community, just like having a store there. I mean, that's awesome for trying to sell those lots. Now, having a community hall that's right across the road from where you're trying to sell lots, this is a benefit to the town too. Whereas the other stuff is too, but in a different way. This is a financial benefit to the town, which is apparently what you guys need. So, I mean, it's just another way of looking at why this group, because you're going to have to say no to the other ones, to start.
We're gonna have to say no to some people. And like I said, I mean, you're not the first group that's approached and asked about the idea of raffling off a lake lot. You're definitely the first group that's kind of put it together this formally and come with a delegation to council and done it. But you're not the first group that's thrown around that idea. And while I totally appreciate what you mean, or what you're saying about, the money is going back into a piece of land and a piece of infrastructure that we own. Like this, we own the skate park too, right? So if they put a $750,000 upgrade into the skate park, that's improving our infrastructure, right? Same with the spray park, we would own that piece of infrastructure. So, I mean, all of these projects and things are going to increase and enhance the community. So, I mean, I appreciate that, but again, we need to figure out a way. I don't think we can base it on, who's going to increase the property value the most or that sort of thing, because we could get into a messy game. Like, there's definitely a process, but what that is, we don't know right now. It's all new information to us, and we'll definitely have a conversation.
What is the criteria then?
Well, I can't tell you that, because I mean, we've just learned about this right now, right?
Social and economic benefit of a project, of something like this, because, it's quite obvious that we do, and I understand where you're coming from as well.
Right, but I look at even like the homeless shelter, right? $40,000, if the homeless shelter did a raffle right now for $40,000, that's a third of the funding that they need for a year. required to be operational for 18 hours a day. So when I look at things like that, like again, like that's a huge social and economical benefit to our community, because we hear that all the time. That's one of our biggest issues and our biggest priorities right now is people talk about the street people not having anywhere to go and people coming into the community, and that's the first thing that they see. So we have this huge issue, and that group has been to us a million times asking us for help in different ways, and this is a way that we could help them, right? We could give them a lake lot to raffle off and they could make a lot of money doing that. So I mean, there's a process and there's a way to do it, but I don't know what the answer is right now.
So just keep in mind that this is CapEx for us, capital expenditure versus ongoing operating expenses. We've already proved the sustainability of it over the last 20 years. This will just enhance that. That's, I guess, my closing.
Okay, then we'll receive his information and we'll bring it up at our next committee of the whole. We will be in touch with you for sure.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Give me a second there, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to change that.
Sure.
Thank you again.
Yep, thank you.
See ya.
No, I don't feel good at all.
You don't look very well. You're kind of pale. I don't mean that in a mean way.
No, I don't feel very good.
Yeah.
It's week 3?
You're sick?
Yeah.
Okay, batteries are back in the camera and away we go. The
Tired,
CAO
so it
report,
costs all
please.
over me.
So the following is an update as it relates to various departmental reports as of November 3rd. Museum submitted Celebrate Canada grant for Canada Day celebrations, submitted MAP grant for collections assistant to edit collections records. The museum will be holding a paint night November 30th. Just a kudos on that. I cannot believe how popular the paint nights have become in this community. It's quite interesting. Maybe it is the wine. Recreation and Wellness hosted a student placement from Frontier School Division. Interviews have been held for full-time facility monitor and front desk attendant. Anybody out there, we're always in demand for facility monitor and front desk attendants at the Wellness Center. Recreation attended UCN Resource Fair. Recreation's working with Badminton, Manitoba Badminton for hosting an ID camp for Manitoba Winter Games. Well, at the time I wrote this, the Arena Brine plant was holding. We had a little bit of issues over the weekend, but I've been advised that these have since been resolved, and fingers crossed that we can carry through again. Provincial fire inspection passed with federal inspection to be completed this week. Looking for more arena attendance. We have 2 that are left. We had 4 at the beginning of the season. Pool steam room is having issues. Parts are on order. Winter maintenance of public parks and wellness center. Cleanup of trees at the cemetery as a result of high winds. Public works is sewer jetting dead ends, hydrant maintenance, grading of lanes, fixing boulevards, doing their fall cleanup up until we have this snow. Eco Center cleanup, repair of leaky valves on 7th and Settee and 7th and Hogan. Water break repair on 4th and Fisher, cleanup at the Hawaiian after the windstorm. Working with SMS Engineering on energy savings. They believe that we should look at overall efficiencies of our buildings rather than replacing the boiling system. I know this was something that come up in the past about the boiler system, but they said you need to start addressing your problems, which is looking at the building as a whole. Crosswalk repairs at 6th and Smith were completed. Parking lot controllers are being installed at town facilities. I think our facilities here still need to be done. There were some parts that didn't quite work. Waiting on suppliers for LED fixtures that'll be installed at water treatment plant, civic center, and garage. Lagoon Open House was held October 25th. Sadly, only 3 people attended. One of them was from Sustainable Development, and I think one was an interested party and media. Planning District meeting held, reviewed secondary plan for Manitoba Housing, review of Provincial Offenses Act, and looked at changes that needed to be made to town bylaws. Worked on statistical report for 2017 fires to date. We're still wanting to meet with the RCMP. I can give a little bit of an explanation on that to the rest of council. We pinned and pegged and looked at any kind of statistical data that we could as it related to the fires. And we could see no set patterns in anything. Some of them, I know there's a lot of concern about the arsonist that is being used as a term. A lot of these fires are undetermined, and they're undetermined for a reason. A lot of them are also electrical or cooking or personal fires. So I know it sounds horrible, and it is. Anytime there's any kind of loss, it is very bad. But we have gotten together some statistical information, and we're going to be meeting with the RCMP on it. CAO and HRO attended Manitoba Labor Law Review course. I participated in a women's panel at UCN. Fire department has been having regular practices. They responded to 4 MVAs and 2 structure fires. Level 1 instruction is still ongoing. Winterization of fire department vehicles and apparatuses is ongoing. Several building inspections, but only 1 new building permit. Fire department was out and about on Halloween and gave out candy at Halloween. The control will be working on the development and implementation of an asset management plan, as municipalities will need to show measurable progress towards the implementing asset management and report to the province on the progress they've made by December 15th of each year. So this is something new that's starting. So the controllers got that in tow. Another thing that if I can mention is we've been having issues with children unattended or being left unattended at our arena. These are young children that have been there at 11 o'clock at night. Children are supposed to be accompanied by an adult or parent or guardian, and we would really appreciate that at our facilities.
What are we talking, children? What age?
11-year-old, left on their own, some younger. And when we're closing our facilities at night, that creates extra stress on finding out where the child belongs.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
That's my report.
Okay. Move on to bylaws, 6.0, 6.1, road closing bylaw number 4564, second and third readings.
Oh, that's me, sorry. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Gibb, resolved that bylaw number 4564, being a bylaw of the Town of the Paul to close a public lane pursuant to Section 290 of the Municipal Act, be read a second time.
Any discussion on this?
I would just like to say that although I have no personal gain in the matter, since the business is owned by my family, I will be abstaining from the vote.
So for people who are wondering, this is a narrow piece of property that goes from Crosley to the alley to the north side of the grub box. People have been parking on that property for decades, even though it was a public lane. So we're just, at their expense, I might add, it's being turned over to them to use as a continuation of their parking lot. Any other comments? Call the question, all in favor? Okay, third reading, please.
Okay, how about this one? Moved by myself, second by Councillor Gibb. Resolved that the bylaw number 4564, being a bylaw of the Town of the Paul to close a public lane pursuant to Section 290 of the Municipal Act, be read a third time and be passed.
All right, this is third call, therefore it's a recorded vote. Councillor Commodore.
Yes.
Councillor Forward.
Aye.
Councillor Gibb.
Aye.
Why is James not here?
Do we have enough to do this?
Pardon me?
Just a weird question, do we?
Yeah, well, 4 to 7.
But is it tie break or?
Yeah, Jim has a vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious, we didn't know where it was
Yeah,
tied.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Just scratch it off. I don't know why it showed up.
It matters on your quorum, so even if it passed 3 to 2, it's still passed.
Councillor Cross is abstaining. Councillor Rock is absent. Councillor Zelinski is absent. I am an aye, so it passes by a vote of 4 to 9, 1 abstain. Carried. Okay. Moving on. 7.1.1, snow removal agreement with MIT.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore. whereas Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure has sourced the town to do snow removal for highways in the PAW, and whereas the town has had this agreement with MIT for many years, therefore be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and the assistant CAO to sign snow removal agreement with the government of Manitoba as represented by the Minister of Manitoba Infrastructure for the removal of snow from highways within the town of the PAW for a term to expire April 30, 2018.
Let's hope there's no big storm in May. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? It is carried. Uh, 7.4.1, additions and deletions to taxes, resolution.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Commodore, whereas Manitoba Municipal Relations Assessment Services provided additional reassessments for 2017, therefore be it resolved that council approve additions in the amount of $24,591 and cancellations in the amount of $8,167 to the 2017 real property tax roll as contained on a listing from Manitoba Municipal Relations dated October the 10th, 2017.
Any comments? Call the question, all in favor? It's carried. Uh, 7.4.2, AMM resolution. Do you want some water first?
I took some. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Forward. Whereas the following resolution was received from Councillor Christian from the RM of West St. Paul, and she is looking for other council support. And whereas provincial and municipal governments are concerned about the safety, health, protection, and well-being of all elected officials and employees, and have a duty to prevent, investigate, and respond appropriately to harassment and bullying in the workplace. And whereas elected officials, employers, and employees should have the same right to a safe work environment, free of harassment, bullying, and intimidation. And whereas Section 1 of the Workplace Safety and Health Amendment Act does not clearly identify elected officials who occupy a unique position that does not fall within the existing categories of employer or employee. And whereas Section 131 of the Municipal Act requires council establish an employee code of conduct, and Section 84.1 1 to 2 requires that council members establish a code of conduct that defines values and standards. Council members are expected to meet without providing a clear, consistent, and external investigation process of any harassment, bullying, or violations of the code of conduct. And whereas Section 84.1, Section 3 of the Municipal Act identifies censure as the only penalty option for elected officials who have violated any aspect of the council code of conduct, a meaningless and purely symbolic public statement from council following a determination that a council member has breached the code of conduct that represents an inadequate enforcement mechanism for municipalities to deter and penalize harassing and bullying behavior. And whereas Section 151, Section 3 of the Municipal Act permits closed meetings from the public, and Section 83, Section 1D of the Municipal Act requires that any issues discussed in these closed meetings are kept confidential, elected officials or employees are not free to discuss or disclose any harassment, bullying, or intimidation that may occur during these closed meetings without fear of being dismissed from council as per Section 94, Section 1H of the Municipal Act, or fear of employees losing their job. Therefore, be it resolved that AMM lobby the province of Manitoba to strengthen legislation regarding prevention, investigation, and enforcement mechanisms available to municipalities in response to harassment and bullying in the workplace between elected officials and between elected officials and municipal staff.
Well done.
Say it again.
I was like, there's one word in there, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to say that right.
Discussion?
It's great.
Call the question, all in favor? It is carried.
So for those who don't know what the resolution said, pretty much we want the provincial government to have the Workplace Health and Safety and Respectful Workplace Act encompass municipal officials and protect them from the same that the employees and employers are protected.
Thank you. 7.4.3, Trappers Festival.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cross. Be it resolved that council authorize the following support for the Northern Trappers Festival: waiving of rental fee for the Roy H. Johnston Arena and Whitman Pool for events held there, waiving of rental fees for tables from Kelsey Recreation for arts and crafts, grant permission for the Torchlight Parade and route on Wednesday, February 14th, 2018, Approving a grant of $750 to be used towards costs associated with family fun events. We have the annual insurance fee. Allow Public Works to assist Trappers Festival in Kinsman with the development of staging area, starting line, and dog race trail in Halcor Lake and other areas as required. Allow Public Works to assist with site preparation and development for Fort Whoopatup and uptown events. Allow use of suitable vacant town lots for the logging events and other activities. Allow closure of Edwards Avenue between 1st and 2nd Street on Friday afternoon, February 16th, and between 4th Street and Back Lane Veterans Way on Saturday, February 17th, for street hockey. Donating 200 pins. Declare Wednesday, February 14th, 2018 through Sunday, February 18th, 2018 as Trappers Festival Spirit Days. Requesting residents and visitors don their favorite Trappers gear and show their spirit. Fast getting to that time.
That's a good partnership. Any discussion or questions? Call a question, all in favor? They are carried. Payroll and accounts, 4.4.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ford. Be it resolved that council authorize the following accounts. Pay period number 21 in the amount of $97,964.80. General checks number 19,673 to 19,759 in the amount of $269,928.92, and electronic funds transfer in the amount of $84,613.91.
Okay, any discussion? Call a question, all in favor? It's carried. 7.4.5, Town of the Paw 2015 audit.
Moved by Councillor Ford, seconded by myself. Be it resolved that council accept the auditor's consolidated financial statements for the Town of the Paw for the year ending December 31st, 2015, as presented by Collins Barrow HMA LLP.
Any discussion?
Do we have an ETA of when we're getting 2016?
I would have to ask.
Because we're going into budget again and we're a year behind.
I agree. Any discussion then? Any more discussion? Call a question, all in favor? It's carried, 5-9. Just a moment, please.
They were just coming back from the fire call. I think that's what it is.
November 27th. Museum, thought they were coming tonight.
Oh, gee. Distraction. All right, the museum board minutes are attached. I will, Chamber of Commerce, Councillor Commodore.
There's one on Thursday?
Thursday coming up?
Thursday, yeah.
Okay. Citizens on Patrol, Councillor Commodore.
I called in sick.
Pardon me?
I called in sick.
Oh, okay. CDC, Councillor Gibb.
Nothing.
Destination Marketing, Councillor Cross.
We had a meeting and approved 2 grants, one for the Arts Council for their Arts, Crafts and More, and one for the Rotary Club for their Bill McDonald basketball tournament. And we have another meeting in December.
Okay. The Pot Community Renewal Corporation, Councillor Cross.
We haven't had a meeting since last meeting.
Okay. Library Board, Councillor Corbett.
We met last week. It's more or less business as usual, but there is an agenda item in committee of the whole to try and sort through a plan for what we should be doing with that building, or at least we need to talk about those things. So, but otherwise, yeah, it's business as usual, and continue to see regional patronage.
Joint Committee Council, Councillor Commodore.
You know what? It is not going anywhere. There is no response from the lake people about paying into the recreation.
We should use that as a...
Well, yeah.
Just kidding.
All right. KSD committee, no, there was no meeting. Citizens period? Okay, can we get moved into committee of the whole then?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.